Good morning. It's Friday. And you can tell that the monkey is still in action because today I have a ladder behind me. And I also, it's chilly, so I'm wrapped in a blanket. That's where we're at this morning. I'm really excited. Hello again, Natalie. Nice for you to join me twice in the same morning. That's very exciting. Can you tell I did my makeup between the end of class and now? Good morning. So today is a topic that I warn you, especially if you're in a larger body, this may be a little triggering to you because it involves a lot of discussion of fat phobia and weight stigma. But don't worry, I'm going to give you the tools and strategies to move forward with it. So I hope you are able to sit in the discomfort because this is a really important topic. So this has been an argument that has been presented to me when I've been on podcasts. It is something that I've gotten comments on my posts here on Instagram. And I'm sure, let me know in the comments if you have heard this in real life. So this idea that I love body positivity. I'm great with body positivity up until the point that it impacts health. Or my personal favorite is I'm fine with body positivity, but I'm not okay with glorifying obesity. And so it's kind of equating the two and saying body positivity has its limits. There's only so much loving yourself that I feel comfortable with. And unless you're at a specific body size. So I want to talk about I want to break down this way of thinking because I'm not going to lie, I was 100% on that boat when I first started as a trainer. Because I was a eat this, not that trainer, I was totally focused on weight loss. So I was in this camp. And I want to take what I used to believe, what I've heard other people believe, and really break it down so you can understand where that kind of thought really comes from. And if you're a person who currently kind of struggles and has these sort of thoughts, there's no judgment here. I want to help you move through it because this is a natural part of the programming of diet culture and what we have been taught. So there's nothing wrong with you. It's just working through the things that we've been taught about what health looks like, about what bodies we should be trying to strive towards. All right? Does that sound good, everybody? And let me know, as I said, if you have ever come face to face with this sort of comment or argument. So when we hear this, it's got a very strong root in the idea that health, right? There's this concern about people's health, that we don't want to love ourselves and let go of being concerned about being healthy. And it's almost never applied in the opposite direction. We've seen a little bit of it with the super, paper thin models on runways, but in the other direction, as far as looking at people who are in smaller bodies, who appear happy, who appear, to feel confident or to feel good in their bodies. And I'm using the word appear because often we're thinking of social media or, people we don't really know. Apologies, my phone is ringing. Celebrities. We never look at people who are loving themselves or talking about feeling good in their bodies when they're small and accuse them of glorifying unhealthy habits, glorifying, the opposite of health. We never apply it in the opposite direction. As far as I've seen, this argument is only ever used towards larger bodies. And I thought of an example of this is we often never see this when it comes to bodybuilding competitions, where the reality is bodybuilding competitions and competitors are often going to extremes to achieve their physique, right? They're eating very little, they're working out hard, they're completely ignoring the cues of what feels good in their bodies in order to achieve a very, very specific look. And I don't see anyone, commenting on bodybuilders' posts being you're glorifying unhealthy habits, you're glorifying, you know, weight obsession or things like that, and going after them. And I'm not saying that they should. I'm just saying that we have to take in consideration that this argument is only unidirectional. It's only towards larger bodies and obese bodies. So that in and of itself reveals that it's not really about health. All right? Especially because we can't see health. Sorry, it's cold in here. We can't see health just from looking at someone's body. So what this actually comes down to is, number one, as I said, that programming that health equals a smaller body and that someone cannot be healthy when they're in a larger body. And also the uncomfortable feelings that happen when we see people in larger bodies feeling good about themselves and almost like defying the norms of diet culture. What diet culture tells us is that when you're in a larger body, you should feel like shit. That's what diet culture tells us. It tells us that being in a larger body and being fat is like the worst possible thing ever. So it's very antithetical to say like, I feel good and I feel healthy in a larger body. That creates this like conflict of like, well, no, because my beliefs about diet culture, my beliefs about my own body, my beliefs about the thin ideal cannot be true if it's also true that you can feel good and feel healthy in a larger body. Like, and our brains look for paths of no resistance. We want things to make sense. We want our beliefs to be true. We get uncomfortable when there's evidence that proves that we're wrong. And often, rather than sitting in that discomfort and examining that discomfort and really like appreciating a different perspective and having it challenge our beliefs to see if our beliefs still hold up and if they still are valid, we flip to arguments like this. We flip to fat phobia and weight stigma and judgment, because we would rather continue to blame and shame others than sit with that discomfort for ourselves. So the assumption that when you're in a larger body, you must be unhealthy, the reality is there's a few things that I really want to point out and draw attention to. Is the reality is that people in larger bodies have often tried for decades, for many, many years, if not their entire lives, to make themselves smaller. You know, we're talking about, like myself, diets, cleanses, detox, extreme fitness programs. They've tried the shaming and the self-hate and the punishment and the loathing, and it often doesn't work. It actually doesn't make them smaller because genetics, right? Many of us are actually genetically more predisposed to being in larger bodies. So that's where our bodies are going to feel their best. And so it's just fighting against what your body actually is supposed to look like. B, we all have different bodies and we all have different genetics. So even if you and I ate the exact same food and moved in the exact same way, our bodies would look different based on our genetic makeup, our ancestral history, and again, what feels best to our bodies. And C, it's also like no one owes anyone health. And this idea that someone shouldn't be happy in their body if they're not like the perfect picture of health is really ableist, and it's really exclusionary of like different phases of life where we may not be healthy, and that doesn't mean we shouldn't still seek out, I'm going to plug in my phone, seek out moments of joy and things that make us feel good and things that make us feel confident, right? It's such an exclusionary viewpoint and way of looking at health. No one owes anybody health, and, you know, striving to be the perfect picture of health at all other costs is also not healthy, right? we want to find room for pleasure in our lives and for joy and for playfulness that all has a role in feeling your best. And we have this view of health that should be all about like sacrifice and willpower and restriction. So the final point that's, I think, in my mind, the most important is body positivity isn't just about feeling good in your body. And I think that that's where there's some confusion when we equate this argument of like, I'm fine with body positivity up until it's unhealthy or it promotes obesity. The root of body positivity is that all bodies deserve respect. Period. So it means that even if you're concerned with somebody's health, even if they're in a larger body, even if you feel that they are promoting obesity, body positivity says that they deserve your respect. And that means not shaming them, not commenting on their body, not worrying about their health unless they've asked you about their health or you are part of their medical and health team. Right? So that's where I feel like it's almost like a false equivalency. You cannot support body positivity. You cannot be okay with body positivity if you are missing that key component. All bodies deserve respect. And all bodies have value and deserve to be here. So that is really, as I said, I think it's the most important part of breaking down, this common argument and comment that we see is that, we need to get clear on what body positivity is and how it shows up in our lives and in this sort of work of fighting against weight stigma and fat phobia. So if you're listening to this and you're struggling with this sort of like deep-seated belief, which is totally, again, natural because this is what we're taught in diet culture. So, you're not an awful person if you have these sort of beliefs, or if you're somebody who has seen this comment in conversations or has this come up in your social group and you're trying to figure out like, what do I do about it? How do I respond to it? I wanted to give a couple of different things that either you yourself can do or that you can suggest for other people to do that end up presenting this viewpoint. All right, so number one, which I think is the most important, is being exposed to, so seeking out and following different kinds of bodies. It is the one major positive of social media is that you can go and find people living confident, healthy, body positive, authentic lives and sharing that on social media. So that means following people in bigger bodies, following people with a different skin color than you, following people who have different physical abilities, and again, sitting with the discomfort, listening to their viewpoint, watching them live their lives and empathizing with them, trying to find those threads of commonality. So being exposed to it is the best way that we can start to find compassion and see people as humans rather than this archetype of like a fat, lazy slob that diet culture tells us is the only way. Is like the only way that fat bodies and large bodies can exist. So be exposed to different sort of bodies so that you can find and see the humanity in them. All right. Number 2, educate yourself on the body positive movement. As I said, there's this misunderstanding of kind of what the point of body positivity is. It's not just about feeling good in your own body. It is about making room and space for all bodies, which in turn, honestly, is the best way to find and make space for your own body and find compassion for your own body, is learning how to love and appreciate bodies of all different types and sizes and abilities and colors and all those things and ages. So there's so many books out there that you can read. There's accounts like mine that you can follow, but also other ones that really break down different viewpoints and different aspects of the body positive movement. The Body Love Society is a great one. Christy Harrison is another excellent one. Dr. Linda Bacon is another wonderful one. And if you want more suggestions, feel free to let me know. But educate yourself, follow people who are activists in the body positive movement, and that can include fat activists, queer activists, activists of different abilities. Go out there and educate yourself. Number 3, that's been a common thread throughout this entire video, is sit with your uncomfortable feelings. Sit with your uncomfortable feelings. Explore what they're telling you and what's at the root of them. So this can be the case, and even I still have many layers of fat phobia from my deep programming that I'm working on doing exactly that with. When you see somebody in a specific body type and you have a certain reaction, sit with it. Sit with it and own that it's there. Sit with it and explore it and get curious. Not shame, not self-blame. Go in with a curious mind and figure out, what is it telling you and what's at the root of it. If it is just that smaller bodies are better, if it is just that fat people make me uncomfortable, then we can know that that is directly from diet culture, fat phobia, and weight stigma. And then you can begin to make a choice. When we have that awareness, we can choose, okay, do I want to continue to subscribe to this belief system, or do I want to choose something else for myself? All right. And then that's where all those people that you're following can step in and help and show you what a different way forward looks like. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think? Are there still feelings that you're struggling with sitting in that discomfort? Do you have questions? Are you feeling pumped and ready to handle these sort of conversations with some suggestions? Maybe have like a few top 3 people that you can suggest that they follow, just on hand and ready to share. But this can be a very compassionate, loving, safe space conversation to have with people in your life, because it is life-changing, not just for them and the people around them, but for their own self-love, for their own journey with their body. It can be a really game changer to really learn and be reminded what body positivity is all about. It's not just about feeling good in your own body. It is that all bodies deserve respect and all bodies have value. All right, my friends, I'm so excited to be back doing these lives. As I said, I took a little bit of a hiatus just because things were crazy, but I'm going to be coming back hopefully every week. Next week, my topic is going to be feeling discouraged in your fitness journey, especially if you're still coming off of, feeling tied to weight loss goals. If you don't see your body changing and you start to feel discouraged and think what's the point? We're going to talk about it, what to do with those feelings and how to move forward. But I would also love to know what topics you would like to see me tackle in my live videos and what you would like to see me talk about. Thanks, Natalie. I'm excited to be back too. Woohoo! I always have many things to talk about. That's never an issue. Great, Emma. I'm glad that you found this helpful. And it's nice to see you on here. Thanks for joining me too. All right, my friends. Go out there and have a fantastic Friday. If you want more of this sort of content, if you want to dive into topics like this more, make sure you are subscribed to our newsletter, because we have an open house event coming up in, what day is today? 10 days. We have an open house event coming in 10 days. So if you haven't tried the Loyobo community yet, if you want to experience a coaching call for yourself, if you want to experience a workshop, experience some of our anti-diet body positive classes, come on out. And now's your time to try our Loyobo community. All right, my friends, have a fantastic Friday, and I'll hopefully see you next week. Bye.